Well, hello again, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Experience Maker Live. This is Dan Gingiss, the Experience Maker. I'm a customer experience speaker, coach, author, and podcaster, and super happy to be with you here today. Hey, just want to remind everyone that the Experience Maker, the book, is out and available wherever you buy books, hardcover, paperback, ebook, or audiobook, however you like consuming books. It is available to you in whichever way that you like. Getting some awesome feedback so far, which feels so good. Some great reviews on Amazon and other places. So please check it out. And because I practice what I preach, I want your feedback. Let me know what you think of it, and I promise I will respond to you. So, hey, today we're going to do something a little bit different. We are going to have a guest that is going to talk to us about the olfactory experience. That's right. Scent and what we smell can be such a part of the experience. So I want to introduce the founder of a company called NatScent, Daniel Zimmon. Welcome to the show, Daniel.
Hey, great to be here. Thank you, Dan.
Well, always good to have. I always say two Dans are better than one, right? That's the only thing better than one Dan is two. So we got two today. Great to have you here. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your company.
Okay, well, our company, NatScent, is helping companies beyond their traditional luxury brands to use our most underutilized and most influential scents to create experience for people and teams inside and outside of organizations. So, I mean, our sense of smell is directly connected to our emotional brain. And up until now, it was really almost exclusively luxury brands and luxury experiences that used it. We're doing healthcare, retail, fitness, and we're bringing it to smaller, growing, and regular brands, normal brands that serve everyone. It's been fantastic.
So tell me a little, let's dig into that a little bit. Let's say that I'm a gym owner, a fitness center owner, and I'm interested in working on, let's say, some scent that is not a bunch of sweaty men, which is kind of what you tend to smell when you walk into a gym. Walk me through your process. How would you even, how does that discussion go?
Well, when you think about it, most people are familiar with gyms smelling different than just the generic smell or just the cleaning smell. One of the most famous brands in fitness is Equinox, and they're defined by that eucalyptus mint smell that you get every time you go there. So at least in fitness, the people there are usually really receptive. A lot of them are coming to us and saying, hey, we want to do this. How do we do it? So the discussions about what scent are you going to use? Can we make it special to you? And how do we deliver it in a way that's complimentary and perfect all the time? So that's what we specialize in.
And so I would imagine that the number of choices of a scent are almost limitless. So how does that fitness center owner decide on eucalyptus? Is there research behind that says eucalyptus is a great smell for working out? Or, how do you, and what if you had said grapefruit? Like, how do we hone in on that when there's so many choices?
Well, grapefruit's another famous one in fitness because a company called SoulCycle defined their whole brand with a particular grapefruit smell, which I particularly love. But I mean, that's such a great question. And you're kind of nailing it, Dan, with, there's so many smells. There's actually hundreds of thousands of smells. And our sense of smell is so, what's the right word? Developed, precise, exacting, that we can detect thousands and thousands of smells. So yeah, there are ballpark areas that people equate smells with, whether it's clean and fresh, or woody and earthy, or high end and floral. So usually we guide them in directions, but having one that's your own. And the beautiful and amazing and powerful thing about scent and scent brand is once you get intentional about smell and consistent in your organization, you create your experience becomes linked to that scent experience, and scent experience goes directly to your emotional brain. So that's really the value of it. Yeah, there are families We usually start there, but most of the time, it's about taking something that either our client loves already, or we go through our portfolio and find what's great for them. One of our partners, Suji Park, is the nose of our company, and she's brilliant at being able to experience someone's brand and the people, and then come up with scents that fit them. It's usually, the process is usually way easier than you think. I mean, almost all the time, clients smell the different smells we bring, and they're like, "Oh yes, it's 3." There's rarely like, "Well, should we do 2? Should we do 5?" No, it's like, "Oh yeah, 3. 3 is us. Let's do 3."
Gotcha.
And we also do test programs too.
Okay. And then how do you know whether the scent is having the right impact? I mean, like, in other words, I would imagine, I'm guessing here, but I would imagine that there is a delicate balance between wanting it to be subtle, but effective, and not wanting it to be too overpowering. And so how do you know when you've hit it right? Do customers comment, or is it just that the client is happy? Do customers behave differently? How do you know when you've hit on something? And maybe the reverse question, how do you know when maybe, okay, whoops, grapefruit wasn't right, now we should try lime, or some other flavor?
Lots of our clients are working with analytics companies already. So they get the analytics feedback on case acceptance, on spend per customer, on time spent in the store. So you get anecdotal and you get scientific hard numbers on it. The science behind it is kind of surprising, which is scent works at all levels and can be done in different ways. Some companies have been successful absolutely bombing you with it. And we have some clients that do that where, you can smell it down the block. It's not my preference. Scent's also been scientifically proven to work at a almost subliminal level where you can't necessarily smell it, but you can still have that memory sticking imprint. It's kind of like, what's it like going to your grandmother's house? Can you remember what it smells like there? How you feel?
It's been a long time, unfortunately for me, but yes, I definitely can remember that smell for sure.
Yeah, my grandmother died like 35 years ago. I can still remember what her house smelled like and how I felt there. And that's what it's about. So that's what we bring. That's what we bring to the experience side. And like Disney's famous for it. Have you ever been to Disney? I'm sure you have.
Many times.
An experience master.
But I'm not sure that I have noticed the smell. So tell me a little bit about it.
Well, Disney has this really famous case study of their ice cream shop. They sent the different rides. They sent the different halls and experiences to match the experience, whether it's jungle or outer space. But their famous case study was the ice cream area. Ice cream doesn't smell, right? It's frozen. It's in a case. Mm-hmm. Even when it's out, you barely smell it. But they started scenting the ice outside the ice cream with the smell of waffle cones. And that's why you go to Kilwins or somebody else, they're cooking waffle cones there. And their ice cream purchases went up by like 95% instantly because people get that feeling as they walk by. It's like walking by Starbucks.
Yeah. Or I'm thinking like a Cinnabon or Auntie Anne's or something, like you're in the airport, you can smell it from, definitely down the terminal, and you're about to come upon it. It's I'm reminded of like the old Tom and Jerry cartoons where like they're following the scent, and it's, you can see the scent.
Yeah, they're floating through the air, right?
Yeah. It's kind of reminds me of that. But so, all right, I'm just thinking, so maybe somebody's watching, they're saying, okay, this is great, but I'm not Auntie Anne's or some place that is known for a smell. I'm not even serving food. I'm not in that industry. So how do I even decide that this is something that I should be investing in versus whatever else I should be investing in?
Yeah, well, great question again. So intentional and consistent scent is about brand experience and customer experience. So great companies and great organizations, they have great cultures, and they extend that culture to their customer and their client experience and to each other. They spend massive amounts of money on it. And it's money well spent. It's what really matters. So scent is leverage on that. Scent takes all the effort you put into culture and all the effort you put into client experience and customer experience and memorializes it, makes it sticky in their minds. It's something, if you put a sign on the wall, you read it a few times and you tune it out. And because the way scent works and the way it connects to your mind, You can't tune it out. It's always there. That's why Sony, Apple, Nike, all of the airlines, all luxury brands, they have a consistent scent to make the most of what they're paying attention to and what's valuable in their company, which is the customer journey and the internal journey too. I mean, how people feel about where they work and how they're treated, how their teams work together. When company, when they do a great job of that, and it's memorialized and links that memory, links that impression, and that's why it's valuable all across the board. We work with law firms, we work with engineering companies, we work with healthcare companies. Distributed locations are amazing because you can take the experience of, say, the home hospital and spread that out into all the regionals instantly.
And so you were just sort of, I thought maybe you were going to hit on this. Do companies also use this for employee experience?
Yeah, exactly. It memorializes everything that's going on in your organization, internally and externally. It's kind of like going to your grandmother's house on Thanksgiving. If it was a great time, that's how I feel. If everyone's fighting all the time, as soon as I smell turkey, I'm like, yikes, I'm on high alert. So Great brands, great organizations, people that care about other people, it's incredibly valuable and powerful.
All right, so let's flip it on its end. Can it affect people negatively? Maybe I'm allergic, or maybe I have a particular sensitivity, and if so, what do we do about that?
Well, that's a great question. It's one of the reasons going pro works, right? So the Prolevel scenting gear that we use and the perfumes that are designed in compliance with the IFRA, the governing body of scent for distributed at a very, very, very tiny level using flavors and compounds that are approved for that use and deemed safe internationally. Lots of companies we go into, they're doing a whole bunch of deodorizing. They have this and that's kind of out of control and here and there. So getting rid of all of that and being able to do it exactly the way you want it all the time and super precisely is how you take care of that. Our systems distribute something in the range of less than 1/100th of the density of molecules that people experience just on the fragrance from someone's hand cream. So it can be and is effective at super, super low levels. Sense of smell is our primal defense mechanism.
Interesting. That's so cool. Hey, we have a comment from somebody in the audience. Ivan says there's an interesting word in Arabic, zanha. It's the type of a bad smell that they cannot put into words. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Ivan. Really appreciate it. And yeah, I think that's kind of where I was getting at, Daniel, was that the sense of smell can be something that so brings people together, like Thanksgiving dinner, and it can be, something that scurries people to the exits, right? And so I think it's fascinating to try to find that right balance. I like that you're saying that it can be really subtle, because I think that probably helps a lot. I'm just thinking, sometimes I get into an Uber and man, the scent that the guy has hanging from his rearview mirror is so strong, my eyes are watering, right? And that's just not the kind of, even if I like the scent, that's not the kind of experience that I think people want. So it's interesting that balance that you guys have to achieve. You mentioned before that you were working in a lot of different verticals. I'd love it if you could just tell us about some of them and how they're different. What's the approach in a medical facility versus a retailer, for example?
They kind of do it for the same reason. They're trying to cement the experience that they're creating. And medical, I mean, the way people receive their care, how they respond to it, how they feel about it has a gigantic impact on how well they do. It's the placebo effect and also their compliance. So that's one of the reasons we're working with especially high choice healthcare like orthopedics and dental. What are they going to choose? They're going to say, yeah, we're going to do what this doctor says. Are they going to believe in the doctor? It can help in those things. Retail is more direct experience, but I think in retail, it's the same thing. It's a person-to-person connection. I love this store. It's cool. It sounds great. It smells good. I feel positive. But when I interact with the people that are there and how they treat me is enormous. And that's where scent really comes in. So it's similar stuff. You know, they call it the retailization of healthcare, because healthcare is a journey, and how much people comply with what organizations and doctors are trying to do for them is one of the biggest challenges of what they do. And also for the value perception really matters. If I feel like I'm getting value for being at the doctors and the dentists and the companies we work with, they're fabulous. But if their clients don't feel that they're getting that value, they're going to be less compliant. They're going to come back less frequently, and they're going to do more poorly in their lives. So it's a component of giving them the best level of care. There's a famous case study on medical imaging for MRIs. Most people have had an MRI, and it can be scary. You have to go into this tube, and it's close to your face, and it makes all these clicking and popping noises. So they have lots of issues with people canceling or being unable to complete their scan because they're anxious. And scent and the way people treat you as you go in and the imprint of that has been shown to reduce people freaking out, people not wanting to come back, So it's similar. It's the same thing in retail. Like, you know, the thing about the word. So when the interesting thing about language is language and our perceptions and emotions are very frequently tied to scent words. What do we say when we don't like something or it's bad? We say it stinks,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or we say, you know, I'm trying to think of another one. There are so many scent-linked expressions about experience. And that's because of the way it connects to your brain. So everyone's kind of using the same thing. And, you know, it really fits experience discussions because it's about cementing your experience and has a different kind of influence on your experience, like a leveraging or a memory holding effect.
Sure. So I'm interested particularly in some of the medical and dental offices, because the scent that I equate to, say, a hospital or a dentist's office is usually very antiseptic and chemically. And that seems to me could go either way. Like, on one hand, especially during a pandemic, maybe that makes me feel good because I feel like the place is clean. On the other hand, who likes smelling cleaning chemicals? And so it's not particularly pleasing. And then if they decide instead, well, we're not going to smell like antiseptic, we're going to smell like brownies, you know, does that even make sense to me? And does it scramble my brain because it's not what I'm expecting? So talk to me a little bit more through that.
Yeah, you know a lot about the way scent works. So scents have to fit in order for your brain to feel comfortable, and you'll feel uncomfortable if they don't, and you don't really know why. So the thing about scents, there's no such thing as covering over or turning something off. Your olfactory system detects it all. And yeah, we want to detect that it's been cleaned. We want it to smell clean. In gyms, there's examples of people having super clean gyms, but they don't smell good. So people think they're dirty and no one's signing up for the gym. So what we can do, and the cool thing about scent too, is it can be in individual pieces. We can give you a different first impression when you get there, but you're still going to smell. And we help our clients with this. What other smells are you creating? How are you creating them? And what effects are they having? So that's all part of, and it's why we work as a subscription, part of what we do. It's not just about like, oh, here's some scent stuff. It smells fantastic. Put it in and you'll see an effect. That'll work, but it works like this much. But if you get involved in everything, your culture, your experience, what else, other things you're doing, you can make them all work together. And that's kind of what it's about. So it's a great question. Yeah. I want people have negative associations and connotations from prior life, especially people of my generation with dental. Dental was way different 30 years ago. It was way different. Right. And so when I smell that stuff, I'm kind of like, oh, yikes.
Yeah.
Dental now is way better.
Well, and it is amazing how quickly a scent can bring you back to whatever that memory is. Maybe you haven't even been to a dentist office or a dentist office that smells like that in 30 years. And you get in there, and that very moment, it brings you right back there. And it's, we always talk about the classic scents, like a homemade chocolate chip cookie or something like that, that people can really relate to. But I do think it's really interesting that it's hard to come up with another sense. See, I did it too. Another sense that has that almost immediate impact on the brain, which I think is cool. Daniel, we got a question from you from Ivan. Is there any specific scent that affects focus, or is this purely personal? Great question, Ivan. Thank you for that.
Yeah, that is a good one. It's both. It's both. So that's how people use scent in terms of personal performance and sport. It's really used a lot in sport too. If you equate a scent with a particular feeling and practice it, then you can put your brain back in that mindset when you're playing. They make these wipes and stuff for, when I'm tired, they reinvigorate me. Well, a lot of it is placebo effect, which is really valuable. Hey, if I feel like I'm drinking this drink and it's going to help me, it will. If I've had the experience of these other people taking care of me and I re-experience that smell, I'm going to feel taken care of. So it's both, right? Gasoline's a great example. Do you like the smell of gasoline or not?
Not so much.
Not so much. I mean, the smell of gasoline is a really toxic smell. I mean, it's downright nasty. And the stuff is super poisonous. But half the population loves the smell of gasoline, right? Because they've had a great experience associated with it. I myself actually like it because my dad used to take me to the gas station on Saturday. So that's how powerful and that's how effective. And it's an opportunity. So the answer to his question is it's really personal, but you can create that based on the experience that you have. And you can do that for yourself. That's why people use a particular smell when they're going to sleep. This calms me when I go to sleep. Well, after I practice that for a week, it really works.
Interesting. All right. So we're coming up to the end of our discussion here, Daniel. How do people get in touch with you? And what's the first step that a company should take if they want to start exploring scent?
We like to do pilots with people so they can try it and see what it's like. We're a subscription, so you can just install it and see how it works. They just reach out to us at natscent.com and me directly. It's incredibly easy. That's the great thing about scent as well. It's easy to set up and work, and going pro with it is really no harder than not going pro. Our subscriptions aren't very expensive. It's super cost effective. People spend a lot of money on home solutions that don't really accomplish what you want to do. And so that's one of the reasons I got into it. It's like, for the dollar, nothing can help personal connections and reach people like scent can. So great organizations and caring people, the value when you have a positive experience to include scent in that is so great. And that's what I loved about it. I love the idea of helping caring organizations and great people extend that and help grow that feeling.
Awesome. Really cool. Well, thank you, Daniel, for being here. Super cool discussion today. I got to admit, it's not something that I've thought about often, but as we talk about it, I realize that, yeah, this is a big part of the experience, and it might not even be one as consumers that we always can identify as being a part of the experience, like an Auntie Anne's. It may be more subtle than that, and yet, hey, I keep going back to this store or this hotel because it just feels pleasant to me. And I'm not sure why it feels pleasant, but it's probably having to do with somewhat with the scent. So thanks so much for being here and for teaching us a little bit about olfactory experience today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for having me. And when you point that out, it makes me think of some famous brands that do it really subtly, like Apple, like Nike. You don't really smell it there, but man, it does not smell like 250 people in the Apple store. It smells like the box. So That's what it's all about. That's what we bring to company. It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me. And thank you for your amazing questions, Dan. I mean, not surprising that someone that is a brilliant experience professional would have a lot of cool questions about scent, because that's what it's about.
My pleasure. And thank you also for everybody listening. Thank you, Ivan and Jesse, Lamont. I'm sorry I couldn't get to your comment, but Lamont was talking about charcoal and how it makes you hungry because it's related to food.
Yeah.
Love it. I'm so glad that we've got we've inspired people to start talking about scent. So thank you again, Daniel. You and I will connect again soon. And thank you everybody for being here. I would be remiss if I did not mention in the United States that today is Veterans Day. So thank you to all of our veterans. Thank you to our active service members for your service to our country. We so appreciate you. And next week, I'm also very excited to welcome a longtime friend of mine to the show. His name is Phil Mershon. He is the director of events for Social Media Examiner. He puts on an incredible event every year in San Diego social media marketing world. I've had the honor of speaking at it for 7 consecutive years. It is one of my favorite events of the year. And he's actually in the process of writing a book about event experience. So we're going to talk about how do we create a great event for our attendees and what kinds of experiences are they looking for. Want to leave you also with, if you have a suggestion for somebody that I should feature on the show, I'm always looking for exciting new guests. I'm very, very fortunate that we're already booked through January. So we've got some more great guests coming up, but always looking for additional suggestions. I mean, look, we talked about scent today. We're talking about events next week. We've talked about all sorts of different industries, and that's exactly what I'm trying to accomplish with this show. So always open to more suggestions. Thanks so much for being here. Have a terrific weekend. I'm Dan Gingiss, the Experience Maker. We'll see you next time on the Experience Maker Show.